main theatre at 2 o'clock sharp to meet up with their respective team leaders. People who have signed up for the KwaZulu Canopy Tours have to meet Chris Barrachibi in the Fern Theatre at 1:45, a little bit earlier, because you need to be at the KwaZulu Canopy Tours at 2:15. Okay, so anybody who's signed up for that, take a raincoat and don't be late. Okay, our next presenter is Savannah Tarbu, who is from the SAMBI, South African National Biodiversity Institute, and is coordinating a lot of the work around the CREW program. And he's going to tell us a little bit about the volunteer amateur botanists making significant contributions to the taxonomy and conservation of threatened plants. Thanks, Savannah.
Thanks, Kevin. Good day, everybody. I'm going to be zoning into plant species. So we've had enough of the major stewardship hectareage, and we're now going to move into the numbers of threatened plants in the province. CREW, Custodians of Rare and Endangered Wildflowers, is a subset program of SAMBI's Threatened Species Program, and we've been funded by the Botanical Society of South Africa as well as the Biodiversity Stewardship Program. Okay, so the reasons for the CREW program: South Africa has 2,500 plant species that are threatened with extinction. South Africa has more plant species that have gone extinct than any other country in the world. 1 in every 4 plants in South Africa is of conservation concern. For most of these species, there are no recent information about how the populations are doing out in the wild. And many of our interesting botanical finds over the past 2 decades has been by amateurs who have a passion for searching for these interesting plant species. And in South Africa, we have quite a unique activity where there's a very active network of interested people looking at conserving plants, and that's thanks to the Botanical Society. So how does CREW work? We involve volunteers from the public. We monitor populations of threatened plants. We work with conservation agencies to conserve key sites for threatened plants, and we provide input into the biodiversity stewardship programs. These are the 8 CREW volunteer groups in KZN. Boston and Underberg up here at the Berg, Boston servicing the Imperial area as well. Kambatini just before Maritzburg as you're going down to Durban. Ponderland is the Port Edward area. Zululand starting from Mtanzini all the way up to Ndumu. Highway group just west of Durban. The Mvochi group out at Greytown, KwaZulu area, and then the All Over group, which is the A team who fills out the gap areas where there's no volunteer group in the area. And these are the botanists that work closely with the program. So we involve a whole wide range of botanists that go out with our amateurs and CREW groups in the province. Okay, then every year we host an annual workshop where we have gatherings of our CREW volunteers as well as various specialists in KZN, and they meet and discuss and network a variety of topics around plant conservation. We also host CREW specialist courses for our volunteers on a wide variety of plant family identifications, and focusing more on genera that has a high volume of threatened plants. Okay, we've found a gap in the number of people that are coming into the plant conservation sector, and we decided to target this by doing plant conservation awareness at universities, and we've created this little booklet which we take with us when we're doing our university courses. So the CREW program's been working with all tertiary institutes in KZN. First is UKZN Maritzburg campus, where the students go out and monitor a threatened population of Mawilla plumbea out at Hilton College Grassland. Second is University of Zululand students, and they've been trying to search for this plant, Didymoplexus verruculosa, which is vulnerable, and it's been the 3rd year now that we haven't found it. So it's possibly on its way out and requires red list assessments or a revised red list assessment. And the last is the Durban University of Technology horticulture students who go out to very small nature reserves in and around Durban annually. Okay, so our progress thus far, we've been going for 5 years. You can see we've got 470 threatened plants in the province, and this table's broken that down with the various red list categories. And out of this, crew has already surveyed 236 of the 470 plant species. We've sampled 175 sites since the program started in KZN in 2007. We've surveyed 447 plant populations, and we've had discovery of 14 new species by Tony Abbott, who is with the Ponderland group. This slide shows the 14 species that Tony's discovered, some of them still waiting to be named, and that's Tony Abbott for those who have not met him as yet. Okay, so what happens to all the data that's collected by our crew volunteers? Firstly, it goes into our in-house database, the threatened plants database, and this is the database that we generate our plant red list assessments from. We also feed our information to Izamvelo KZN Wildlife, so it gives the provincial authorities some clout to handle EIAs, etc. Okay, and this is our red list website, which is updated annually, and it's crucial that crew is the only project of its kind globally where the information collected by volunteers out there in the field feeds into informing red lists. And a few examples of the changes of red list status due to the crew program. The first is this Ledeboria galpinii, thought to be from one location in Kaapsehoop in Mpumalanga, and we've now got 3 localities. And it grows in an area of less than 5 kilometers square. So it moved from critically endangered to endangered. The second is close to home, Schizoglossum bidens, subspecies Hirschtum. And this species has not been collected for over 50 years, and not a lot has been known about it. Our Boston crew group has found 2 new populations. So it's going to be moving from data deficient to, our red list scientist has extra time to really reassess the species and see where it would fall now. So crew's role in plant conservation. Firstly, we inform and guide environmental legislation. An example is the high number of threatened species is used as a criterion for listing threatened ecosystems, which falls under the Biodiversity Act. Secondly, we conserve sites, or we give our sites to the stewardship program and help them with their plant lists. Thirdly, we feed into South Africa's protected areas expansion strategy. So it's quite a lot of high-level national stuff where the crew program feeds into. And lastly, we've just embarked on our project Bioblitz, which is not a very scientific, rigorous scientific process, but it's mainly to involve members of the public in becoming more aware of what's around them and to really go out there and look at our biodiversity. It's a project that's been funded by the NRF-SAS and falls within SANBI, and we've created this iSpot website, which I'm hoping that many of you know about. If not, I do have pamphlets available that you can read up further about. And it's a website that allows one to upload a photo that you found of any species, whether it's out in the wild or even something climbing up your window. Load it on and you get other amateurs to identify it, as well as lots of specialists are now addicted to iSpot and would go out and help you to identify. So it gives you a chance as an amateur to learn about what's around you, as well as to identify other people's photographs. Okay, then the Bioblitz events we've had thus far, mainly in the Cape, Western and Northern Cape, and in KZN. So we've had 12 Bioblitzes thus far in the 3 provinces. We've got 666 observations and 478 participants. And this is excluding crew volunteers, so it's just members of the public out there who were not aware of the crew program previously. And upcoming Bioblitzes for KZN, There's the Vernon Crooks Nature Reserve happening this weekend, with the Black Atlas happening on Friday evening, and then looking at the grasslands on Saturday. Then there's Intimeni Nature Reserve in Ishawe at the beginning of November. Mid-November is North Park Nature Reserve in Durban. End of November, Roosfontein. Beginning of December, Bull Barnes here at the Midlands. 8th of December, Silver Glen Nature Reserve. And I'm going to be working on Giba Gorge Nature Reserve. And the reason why I'm pointing out who owns these reserves is because I try to choose areas which are important for both Zimvelo as well as the eThekwini municipality. So it's the public going out to areas where there's not enough data collected and trying to expose them into visiting these nature reserves. And that's it. I'd like to thank the Botanical Society and crew volunteers across the country.
Thanks, Ravana. You've made up some nice time there. Any questions from people?
Just these bioblitzes, are they restricted to the nature reserve areas, or could we motivate to have one in other areas that maybe are potential nature reserve, potential stewardship sites, getting